Hello, hello. How are you? What are you enjoying? Welcome to the stream. We've brought some friends today. Give everybody some time to fall in or come in. I am pulling up Twitch. That is not Twitch on my phone. Phone. This is also not a phone, it's a tablet. I will English. I promise to English, guys. Give everybody a few minutes to come in. Okay,
I
I will
really
say
need that T-shirt that says "Words are hard."
Yeah, words are hard. Mute. There we go.
while we're waiting on everybody to come in, how are you both?
A lot better.
Better is good.
Yes, better is always good. I am physically fine at the moment. I've had a various amount of maladies during this week. I have plenty of project looming over me, and one of those projects is due tonight. So if I'm a little distracted, I'm probably over here working on something
Yep,
because it's
that's it.
due in just a couple hours.
You
Yeah.
know how that goes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How about you, Caps? How have you been so far this year?
I'm doing a lot better. The corporate job that I've been fighting them over going back to the office with, the boss that had been giving me so much issue has finally not only left my department but got demoted
Ooh.
because I have ADA accommodations in place for me to be work from home. And I've been work from home since I've started working from them.
Wonderful. Well, then I'm glad they stopped giving you a headache. That's
It was this particular boss because he was new and he wanted to prove himself, and he f around and found out with the wrong one.
that's often how that happens. At some point.
He wasn't one plus two. He was the quintessential. I don't want to say boomer, but also at the same time, he was a boomer.
Exceptionally difficult for no justifiable reason.
Yes, for sure. And he was intimidated by the fact that I was 20 years his junior and I could do a better job than he could.
Ooh.
So
That can
my we're a relatively small-ish company, and I was talking to my VP about it because now that because I got a promotion over October of last year, so I haven't been able to stream as much as I've wanted to. And with that came a whole new set of responsibilities and all of that. I officially took over the role this January 1st. So, and then he came in right at the first of the year when I came in. He was taking my previous boss's place. And this dude, when I tell you, actually, you know what? No, I've been dealing with him since before January. January is when it got rough. But anyway, I'm grateful because literally my VP sent me an email this morning. He's like, "Oh, by the way, the trash has been taken out. Hopefully, the smell dissipates soon. If there's any other problems you have, let me know."
That's awesome.
I was just like, "Holy shiz!"
That is awesome.
Because like at first I was like, he's just gonna get transferred to another department, and the kicker is that it's so far from my scope of department, I don't have to see him ever again, which is fabulous.
That would be good, especially if I'm sure he wasn't hired without good reason or put in position without good reason. He just didn't decide to sustain that good reason,
For sure.
unfortunately.
There may or may not be a few unaliving scenes in one of my books dedicated to him. So that being said, yeah, I got my revenge.
That's the great thing about being an author.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, just as people are still coming in and we're talking Stories on Fire, have you guys enjoyed Stories on Fire so far, and what have you guys enjoyed about it?
I've enjoyed Stories on Fire. It gives me a lot of prompts that I can use. As a matter of fact, a couple of the prompts turned into a short story that got published, which I was shocked as hell. But that was one that I started back in September. And I took January to edit and all that fun stuff with it. And then I'll be turning it into a full-blown novel because Mickey and Niven have given me more than what I ever thought. So, yeah.
That's always fun.
Yeah. And they're like, why do you write what you write? I'm like, because I don't see what I want to read out there. That's why I write what I write.
Oh, well, if you don't have the other half, sure. Sorry. I should have muted myself.
You're good.
How about you, Ben? What do you enjoy or not enjoy, or what's your experience like with Stories on Fire?
I will say this. I'll expand out, but Stories on Fire has become more of an excuse to write for me. I find that for me, writing is just a thing in the million bajillion things I have to do all the time, everywhere, and it tends to get pushed to the side. And I'm sure I'm the only author or only writer like this, but I need excuses to write. And so when I see Stories on Fire coming up, it kind of wells up in with me. Yes, this is a time. This is an excuse. This is a reason to write. And so for me, I needed to just write. And my brain is not quite in the mentality state to use the prompts. And so this time I ignored all prompts. I peeked at them. I looked at them and say, is this sparking anything? But I think the weight of the 40 work in progresses that are sitting on my shoulder, I'm like, okay, let's just write some words, a couple of words, get some words done on one of those projects and I'll be good. And I was happy to get the words done that I got done, furthered some of most of those words were for a new work in progress, but yes. But yeah,
I think if we don't have 30 million works in progress, are we really authors?
Well, I was trying to contain myself down to like 3 stories, one for the phone, one for the desktop, and one that kind of bounces between the two. And I've been really trying to practice endurance in that I don't get, oh, look, a squirrel. Oh, look, that one's more fun. Oh, look. And that I try and stay focused on a story or 2 or 3 until it gets at least a little closer to completion.
Absolutely. Been there, done that, and got the t-shirt for it.
So,
especially when you have ADHD like I do. Squirrel and shiny are synonymous.
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder if I'm a little ADD myself. I'm not sure I'm all the way up to hyperactive, but I'm sure I'm very attention.
My doctors were
disorder,
very like, oh no, you have ADHD. There is no without the H. I was like, cool. Now I have a label that I can put to all of these symptoms that I have. But yeah, I think if you don't have some sort of, I don't want to say mental illness, but that's kind of what it is. If you don't have something wrong with your brain juice, and you're not an author, why aren't you?
Yeah.
I think
At least
being an
that's
author-
been my experience. Most of the authors that I've come in contact with, not with just Stories on Fire, but a couple of the other Discord groups that I'm a part of, lots of us are neurospicy, and
Mm.
I'm cool with that.
Mhm. Yeah, I welcome neurodivergence, diversity around
Mhm,
me, as I certainly fit into the category myself.
mhm.
It is a wonderful asset, I think, more than people realize, as much as they want to call it challenges. But that's just my humble opinion.
Yep. I think it can be a double-edged sword.
Mm.
Mhm.
What are you fussing at me for, Discord? You should not be fussing at me. I thought I turned you off. You should not be fussing at me.
So this year we had a bit of a change during the writing session. We started reporting our progress.
Hmm.
Ben, how did that go? Because you were the kind person to develop the spreadsheet for us and keep
Um,
track of all of that.
well, first of all, let me give credit where credit's due. I would not have even been able to start on this if it were not for Nina Rose. She was the one that did the initial research. She's the one that made fantastic spreadsheets that have inspired me to do this for you. And she's been my mentor on this process. But as far as the spreadsheet itself, once I got my brain wrapped around what the heck I was actually doing and what thing did what how,
Allergy pill on there.
thank you. Then it just started rolling and running smoothly. I have not yet found something that just exploded the system. Most of it was like I typed a wrong letter or wrong number in the spreadsheet and it popped something up in the wrong place and just fixed the formula and move on. In general, those who submitted, they submitted. We got some good numbers on the spreadsheet, and then there were other people who signed up and then never submitted, which is a shame because I know some of those people wrote lots and lots and lots of words, and I haven't shut down the spreadsheet. I mean, it's still there. They can still submit. I'll probably peek at it a little bit during February to see if anyone's still submitting. But yeah, for those that did update, I think we got some really good numbers on there. In total, let's see if I can pull it up quick. You are the one I need. And then I need to come over here and do that. In total, between the few of us that updated, we managed to do 71,000 words. It's
Wow,
quite an accomplishment
for
getting
sure.
that many words. Yeah. If I remember right, we had 9 regulars, so that's about 8,000 words per person if we're just throwing random numbers out there. So yeah, and according to the thing here, 34 stories were written. So that's quite an accomplishment now that we've got it recorded.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. I
Um,
didn't participate this month just because, life and all of that, but I did a lot of editing and behind the scenes. So, um, lots of editing, lots of formatting, and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting to learn all of that stuff now.
the fun part will be going forward. If we do decide that we're going to try this again come August, September, once we get through the publishing phase of things, we now have a basis to work from and we'll be able to track our progress and we'll be able to, it helps to, I know for me, it helped me to continue to be accountable for my writing.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to stream, But I
Mhm.
also sometimes my stream will get sidelined. Like somebody will send me a wonderful link to their book, and I'll get excited because I've read their stuff and I know they're a good author, and I'll look at their cover and I'm like, ouch, let's fix this.
This
And then
does
I fix
this
their
does
cover on
not
stream.
look like the quality that I know you can put out.
Hmm.
Because
And
I
it's
think
so
that's
hard.
my problem is that I'm having to design a lot of my own logos and things like that for well, my story is called Over the Barrel, that I'm getting published, and it's a nostalgic romance, which I think is different. It's based in the 90s, and it's based out of Atlanta and northern Alabama.
Okay.
So it's different because one of the main things with the Hear Me Out anthology that I'm a part of is trope flips.
Ooh.
So we have 15 amazing authors. I mean, I want to keep reading and reading and reading, but all of that'll hit Kindle Unlimited on the 6th, as a matter of fact. And this will be my first published piece. I can't believe I can add author to the many number of hats that I already wear.
Yes.
So I'm excited for that. And then also to it will be eventually an audiobook as well, but I will self-narrate that as well. Because as some of you know, I am an audiobook narrator as well. So
Oh, I did not.
yes. So yeah, that's why it's funny because the Terrible Novelist and a couple of others in his streams have been helping me edit and stuff. And they're like, "You write this like you write it as an audiobook script." I said, "That's kind of the point."
Hmm. Yeah, you've got the experience to be able to do something like that, which I'm sure if you had to pass it on to somebody else, it would make their life so much easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. Totally for sure. But for me, I'm one of those where, they're like, "Oh, well, I just go in and highlight and all of this." I'm like, dude, I have it broken down by who all's in the scene and every scene, under my summaries and all of that. Like, I have all of that. So that way I can match voices and everything else.
That's awesome.
It's great. I love it. I didn't I knew that like being a reader as long as I have, I didn't think that writing would be that far of a jump.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's not, and it is in the same aspect.
Hmm.
Because you're so used to seeing the final project. You're not used to seeing the alpha copy.
But you learn the work through, and
Oh, for sure.
that's kind of the point of Stories on Fire for this year. Is we're going to help everybody learn the work through, whether they're
Yeah.
going to be submitting it or you're going to be uh, publishing it yourself. If you're publishing it yourself, you'll probably stick with us all the way through the process. So, we're the next 6 weeks we're dedicating to peer edits and we're dedicating to revisions. So, the form that I am dropping in the link or in the chat is for it's for Stories on Fire. It is the form for turning in the short story you want to use to participate. Now, initially, and perhaps in the future, we may end up limiting it this way. But for the moment, initially, the goal was to have anybody who participated in January would be available to use this form to submit their short stories.
Mhm.
Based on the fact that I really don't know who actually participated in January and will be participating because we didn't have everybody submitting tracking their numbers. And we know for sure that we had some participants that didn't track their numbers the whole month that we know had short stories, such as coffee quills.
Oh, yeah, coffee for sure.
Uh, so this will be an opportunity for everybody to kind of partner up. We'll use that link that I just dropped, and I'll periodically it'll be shared in streams, and certainly with the three of us, if you guys are still open to the idea of sharing the link in your streams.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can drop it in there and also in the Discord too.
If
So,
somebody has a short story and they're willing to complete a peer edit completed with questions. We will be accompanying a set of questions will accompany everybody. You'll get partnered up with a random story and another author, and you'll kind of exchange stories, and you'll be able to. And I'll do the assignments based on as people are coming in. The form will stay open to the 1st of March, and by the middle of March, we're hoping to have all of them done so we can go back in and begin the next process, which is formatting. And that will be a private class that I will teach to everybody depending on the resources people have available.
Gotcha.
So we'll teach you how to format your book. And it will also depend on whether you're submitting it or not submitting it. If you are submitting it, I will have to recruit somebody to teach that, but I will teach everybody otherwise how to hand format their book. And we'll do a class on Google, in Google Drive for formatting. We'll do a class in LibreOffice for formatting, which applies also to a lot of Microsoft Word, so that'll kind of overlap.
Mhm.
And we'll also do a formatting process with those who have access to Atticus
Mhm.
or other professional tools. But you don't need an expensive, fancy professional tool, which is why I'm not teaching a course on the fancy, expensive tools to start with.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not that Atticus is expensive, actually. Believe me, if they had an affiliate link, I'd already be rich.
Oh yeah.
That thing has saved me so much time. So much time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's our currently our next steps. So for the next 6 weeks, if you have a short story and would like to support each other, yourself, and get yourself some peer edits, you've got a link. So if you have other stories from Stories on Fire, previous events that you have participated in, or a story that you just want some feedback on, and you're willing to also provide feedback, and it's structured feedback. We're going to make sure that everybody is actually getting feedback.
Oh
That's
yeah, for
why
sure.
it's so easy for life to get in the way, which is why we're providing specific questions. There will be 20, and we're going to ask everybody to complete 10 to 12 of those questions
Mhm.
for each story that you read. And for each story you want feedback on, we're going to ask you to give feedback on.
Gotcha.
So if you are submitting 5 stories, that is the cap, by the way, is 5 stories submitted. If you are submitting 5 stories, you have to be willing to give feedback on 5 stories. All of these are short stories. None of them are going to be more than 10,000 words.
Yeah, I think mine is right at 11, I think. I'll have to look again and see because I think mine is at 11. What little writing I did get done last month.
We're going to want to, the ones that we'll be reflecting on will be in the Stories on Fire range, which is 1,000 to 10,000 words.
Gotcha.
So that way everybody has a reasonable amount of time to be able to turn back in their questions. If you have time to be able to sit there and do it all in one day, fabulous, good for you. But realistically, it's going to take everybody a minimum of 3 or 4 days to get through a short story and to answer the questions and get them back. And so that's the current plan. Obviously, if you have 2 to 3 weeks to read and reflect is valid. And then we're going to spend the last 2 weeks of March applying those edits and the feedback that we've gotten to the stories, unless you're doing it along the way, which you can do. And then in April, we're going to start doing the fun stuff. While everybody is doing NaNoWriMo camp,
Yes.
we're going to start thinking about book covers and story covers and design work. And we will talk about that. We'll talk about the tools available, both free and otherwise. We will play with the abhorrent word called AI, but I'm also going to direct everybody to some really quality artists, plural, although everybody knows who my favorite artist is.
Who could that be?
Couldn't possibly be Kitten Sapphire.
Oh,
Not at all.
no, totally not.
Totally not, right?
The other thing that everybody will find for resources is that there will be a list of editors and at least one translator available that are working with those who are doing Stories on Fire. So if through the process of peer edits, you would like to have a professional editor, which I recommend for everybody to connect with and to get an edit with, they will start at $50 a story. And I honestly, that's a great deal. And I strongly recommend, if you can fit it in your budget, to do it.
For
It is
sure.
100% worth it, especially since we're talking about creating quality work that is going to be published. And
Yep.
if you're participating with this all the way through, this isn't a might be published. You're going to get published. That's our goal. Whether you're being submitted to a magazine or
Or
wherever is
self-publish,
accepted.
you know.
Yep. Or independent, which, as all of you should know if you're visiting the stream, I've been independent for the last 13 years.
Yep.
And it's an incredible opportunity as long as you're producing the quality that needs
Yep.
to be out there. And
For
that's what we're
sure.
trying to do.
For sure.
And
Because
go ahead.
like I'm grateful for a lot of the authors and editors and cover designers, and like I've met so many people over the past year and a half that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine doing this professionally. But then again, I'm having a story published in 4
Mhm.
days. So it's not that far off, but also too, imposter syndrome says, yeah, no, that's not you. No. But I'm grateful because I never thought I'd add that hat to my list.
I'm gonna warn
And
you,
it's
13
great.
years of imposter syndrome sucks, but it's still worth it. Keep going. So
Oh yeah.
celebrate.
Yeah.
Definitely celebrate.
Because it was really funny because my editor was like, what happens next? I said, I wished I knew because I don't know. I don't plan, I don't outline. I pants and quilt
Yes,
my entire
Panthers rule.
all the time.
Mhm.
I quilt. So, and everybody looks at me funny when they say like quilt. What the heck? I say I take pieces of literally, like, I'll have a scene of about 3,000 words, and I'll figure out where I need to put it, and that's how I write. I don't write beginning to end. I can't do that. My brain will not let me. I've tried.
The thing that I love most about writing, and I'll, obviously either of you can give me your thoughts as well, but the thing I love most about writing is that there can be 100 people, authors, published authors sitting in the room, and in that room could potentially be 100 different ways that they each go about creating and developing something that they absolutely love.
Yep, that's it.
And not one of them is wrong.
Yep, that's it. It's how your brain works and how everything in your brain soup complies with everything else in the world. And that's one thing I've learned, especially over this past year and a half ish, almost 2 years now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. Um, so yeah, I'm proud of myself, and it's a good place to be.
All right, my friends. We have 5 people visiting us, I believe 4 of which are on Twitch. Thank you very much for hanging out. If you have any questions about the Stories on Fire going forward, we are moving into revisions and editing. TheWritingNetwork.com will be featuring a post on editors that have been willing to work with Stories on Fire, and we'll be working on helping us get through professional edits. But we've also going to begin to participate in the Stories on Fire peer editing process. Link is in the chat. Feel free to grab that link if you have a short story that you would like to use to participate. You only need 1, and you can't submit more than 5, and you have to be willing 1-to-1 peer edit with a fellow author, so that you are completing the questionnaire. Again, you'll be provided with 20 questions. We're going to ask you to complete about 10 to 12 of those, and as they apply to the story that you're beta reading for, essentially. pure editing.
Yep.
The other thing that I'm going to ask for everybody is that you submit your book or put your book through either Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid. And if you're not sure about those, you can find them in my streams and many others, where many of us will tell you and brag about how awesome these programs are for doing all the big work, the big brushstrokes, making sure you got periods and capitalizations where they belong, identify
And
your
commas.
typos.
And commas.
So definitely use them before you send them to a peer editor or to a proper editor, because both of which, it saves them time not having to do that kind of stuff. They'll be able to focus on the development of your story. Did I miss this beat? Did I rush this issue? Did I pause too long over here? These
Yeah.
are things that you want an editor to look at. And so we've got Stories on Fire people who are editors who are willing to work with us. Some of them are beginning, some of them have a lot more experience, but 100% worth the fee.
Yeah, for sure.
And going forward, Ben has been kind enough to help me with all of this. We are going to be tracking the forms, and I will make sure I partner everybody up as we go along. So the first 2 people to submit a short story will probably get partnered together.
Good luck.
But we're hoping by April, well, everybody who wants to submit will have submitted and been through, and we'll be working on cover art. And then I will be introducing you guys to some cover artists that will be focusing on some of that work with you and for you. And will be available to you at a discounted rate because they want to help and support the Stories on Fire community.
For sure.
Do we have any questions? Does anybody want to talk about Stories on Fire and what their experiences are, what they're looking forward to this year? What projects are you guys working on that you guys can share?
Yep.
How about you two? Do you guys have anything you guys want to talk about that you guys are sharing and looking forward to?
Well, I wouldn't call my stories short because they're over 30,000 words so far. But they'll be full-blown novels, Over the Barrel, and then Immoral Princess, my mafia romance. So, yeah, I'm excited for those too.
Darth over on YouTube was kind enough to ask, what vegetables do librarians like? Quiet, peas.
Hey, Darth.
Hey, Darth.
Welcome, and thank you for the support and for dropping by. Were you able to join us for Stories on Fire this January? I can't remember. And I do apologize. I thought you were saying you weren't going to be able to stream, but I thought you had signed up, but I don't have the list in front of me, so I don't want to make assumptions.
I could tell you who signed up for it on the spreadsheet, but I don't want to point out or poke anyone. Don't want to rile the grizzly.
Yeah.
So what projects are you working on, Ben, this year?
Okay.
What are you looking forward to?
Well, let me spew some of my works in progress. And again, these are bigger projects that definitely do not fall into the small category. I've got a series of stories. I call it a series because there's more than one, in which I call the Tour series. And it's where a couple of characters, different for each tour, go on a tour of a facility and things happen. The one I am currently poking at is called A Part of the Whole, where a trio meets their 4th friend who happens to be a guide of the robot factory, and they get a tour of all the generations of robots there, and then things happen. Another one is the part 3, as it were, of my Maid series. First one is Made for a Day, Made for a Week, and now I'm working on Made for a Month. There was a story I was supposed to have ready for October 31st, but I've a little bit missed on that one, and it's called Halloween Hangout. So I'll be continuing to poke at it and having it move along slowly, and maybe by October this year, I'll have it finished, and maybe I'll bite the bullet and maybe try and have it edited, since I have never had any of my works edited ever, because of course I am the perfect writer who gets it right on the first draft every single time, just so you know. But no, I've been being told, I've been getting it in my system that I probably should start at least poking at my editing process and seeing what editing is actually like, and perhaps just theoretically I might end up with a better story by having an editor look at it. So
Yeah, that second pair of eyes on it always helps.
mhm.
At least in my experience.
Without
like
doubt.
Yeah, because other people are not in my brain. It's amazing how that works.
yeah, and it's like, and they're like, explain this, and I'm like, what do you mean explain this? I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, that's the great thing, because that's the kind of stuff that people. I did not just drop a bunch of books. Sorry about
Totally
that.
didn't.
Totally didn't. Nope.
We'll try that again. It's so easy for us to fill in the gap when we miss something. It's so easy for us to be like, no, that was a really intense scene, and someone go, but you didn't show anything that was intense. Oh.
It was so obvious in my head. How is it that you don't see it? I pictured it and I gave all the details.
Oh no, it's really funny because my editor was like, you write like, not only do you write as an audiobook script, but you also write as if it were a screenplay or as a TV episode. I'm like, because that's the way I see it.
Absolutely.
But like, that's great and all, but I'm like, well, you know what? That's between me and you. So whatever.
Darth says he thought it was a cat that moved things around. It was a cat. It was this cat.
The non-four-legged one.
Exactly. It's a rare one to interfere with the stream. Usually it's the four-legged ones. They're cute and adorable, but boy, do they interfere. But we love them very much.
Oh, of course. I'm surprised mine's not harassing me, but she barks. She doesn't meow.
Most of mine don't meow, but when the ones that do don't always shut up. Lovely.
Sounds like mine.
I know I've got some big lofty goals. As everybody knows, I actually started Stories on Fire a year before I started running the challenge as 31 days. I have a lot of stories that have been collecting digital dust. So I set a strange goal. I am about 52, 53 stories. I'm not counting the Right Team stories. So if you guys are aware, the Right Team has been publishing anthologies every quarter.
Yeah, the Realities Lens and all of those, right?
Currently still available is Realities Lens, Warped Lens, and Lenses, which is our year of lenses. And recently released is Kismet and Kisses. It's currently at 99 cents until after the holiday, at which point the price will go up to a normal romance anthology price. 3 stories. There's The Illustrious Coffee Quills, The Gifted Cillian St. Pierre, who many on Twitch will know as the Tiger Brights, and myself. We each have different stories in there, and each of us will be releasing those stories independently down the road.
Yeah.
But for the next year, you'll be able to pick it up in print and in ebook as together as Kismet and Kisses. So I'm not counting those because I'm releasing them as part of the team.
Mhm.
But my intention is to hit 50 released stories this year. That will be a mix of novels and all of those short stories that I've been working on since 2019 that are sitting
Those
here.
collections of things.
Yeah.
I love
All
you,
the
puppy, but you have to move. I'm sorry. I hate it for your luck. I love you, but no.
It's always so funny. I have to remind people who don't know I do Stories on Fire or who don't understand what Stories on Fire is that when I say I'm going to release 50 stories this year, they're like, "How could you do that?"
Not all of them are novels.
And not all of them are written this year.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like, because I realized I was going back through my Google Docs and I'm like, I've got stuff from like 2017, and I'm like, God, my writing has changed so much since then.
hmm
And I like to hope for the better, but we'll
Oh, I'm
see.
sure. I would. I am actually rewriting an older story, not older, 2019 release to go along with the newer novel that will be released this year.
Hmm.
Because my writing style has continued to improve and change and warp. So
Yep. I know that feeling very well. But like with our Hear Me Out anthology, we have the Flip Tropes. We have and the charity that we are supporting is First Book Canada, where we help put books into underprivileged kids' hands. I mean, it's a great charity that I'm proud to put my name on, and I'm excited to see. As a matter of fact, I have to figure out how to get my book plates done because I need to get those done.
mhm, absolutely. So when do we get to start seeing your releases, Ben?
Well, to say I have nothing to edit would be a lie. So I guess at this point it's probably when I have the courage to actually poke at somebody and say, "Hey, would you be my beta reader for this story?" Um,
You mean like some
Like
organized?
someone stuff.
yeah, well, maybe.
I mean, I really don't have anything going right at the moment. I mean, well, besides my novels, but I don't think they're going to be done anytime soon. I would like to have Over the Barrel as a novel done by September 1st, but I don't think that's going to happen. Just because it's nowhere near done yet. But
All
who
things
knows?
are possible.
Who knows? It's a very much say la vie kind of thing because I mean, I've been writing on it the past few days, and they're just like, oh well,
Mhm.
all of this, that, and the other, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. That's neither here nor there. That doesn't apply to my story, so
Mhm.
why? So, but I will be self-publishing everything that I write, so there's that.
You might have a good network of people you can lean on to help out with that. Both of you.
Yep, I do. I do. Between the Twitch Writers Network and the Romance Riot and the Hype Girls Squad, I'm covered for the next 30 years in beta readers, alpha readers, cover artists, editors, marketing, anything and everything that I could think of. I have it covered.
And hopefully Ben recognizes he's got that available as well.
Oh yes, for sure.
I'm just a big scaredy cat, just in case you didn't know.
I think we all are at some point, but then it's like you have to throw the jello to the wall and nail it with the dart,
Mm-hmm.
and throw it to the sticking place. At least that's my whole thing of that's kind of been my affirmation for 2024 is just throw it to the sticking place.
That's a good affirmation.
For sure.
I honestly do not know if I would still be if I would have published when I did if I didn't publish under the exact circumstances in which I did, because my imposter syndrome is terrible.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing because I'm still sitting here thinking that I'm not going to have a book published in 4 days.
You can continue to think that, and then poof, it'll be there and available.
Yeah, there,
your
and
name
it's
is on
like,
it.
well, because like we've done the cover reveals and all of that, and I'm just still just like, that's not me, that's not me, that's not me, no, that's not me.
If you want to drop a link to the anthology in the chat, feel free.
I can. Let me go ahead and drop that link real quick.
As we are, while Caps is looking for the link, we're gonna start wrapping up. Ben, do you want to talk about when you're streaming and what you're looking forward to in the coming process, the next 6 weeks? You'll be submitting a story, right?
There we go.
I will see. I will go through my ready to edit stories, do word counts, check them out, see if I'm ready to go through with them. So at the moment, I'm gonna say we'll see on whether something happens there or not. I do know that if you go to the sign-in sheet, I've got 2 fake stories up there right now that are not even close to being done. But it's just so you guys can see what it'll look like when you guys submit. As far as next stream, I want to stream. I miss streaming. Unfortunately, right now in my house, streaming is very resistant. My house is very resistant to me streaming. And so it's really hard to find a day or a time. I am hoping that I can push back enough to get like just Mondays or just Tuesdays, just one day a week. We'll see. But yeah, I do miss streaming, writing. I do miss streaming, playing games. And I'm hoping sometime this year, I'll hopefully be able to get back onto a schedule.
I am looking forward to seeing that. How about you, Caps?
I
Hello,
am looking forward to
Coral.
that as well. Coral!
Coral? Oh, there we are.
Welcome to the stream, Coral. We are actually tying up. We have been talking about Stories on Fire and the changes to come for the next 6 weeks. We are moving into revisions and edits. It is wonderful to see you as well. I'm so glad you made it.
Yes.
Caps was just telling us how is she submitting a story for peer editing this month, and when we might be able to catch her streaming.
Yeah, I hope to start streaming again soon, but it depends on work and if it calms down or not.
It's definitely a good time of year to be doing it, that's for sure.
Yep, for sure.
And if you've got any short stories you'd like some peer edits on, you could participate in the Stories on Fire editing process. We are filling out this form that I just dropped in the chat. Do it on both platforms since that's just one. So you could submit your form and get paired up with somebody who can do the peer edits with and for you. Short stories have to be between 1,000 and 10,000 words to participate, and you have to be willing 1-to-1 up to 5, willing and able to also do a peer edit for somebody else. Those are the only requirements to participate, and we'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
All right, my friends. So this was my stream this morning. I didn't get on because evidently, if you have sinus pressure in your head, it doesn't work so well when you first wake up. It was really
What?
crazy,
What?
huh?
Crazy.
I had to wait for medicine to kick in, and by the time it finally kicked in and I was feeling out of the brain fog, I am so sorry, guys, but I could not get on stream. It was just too late in the day. We had too many awesome people already on. Didn't want to intrude.
Yep, I know that feeling sometimes.
Me
Because like
too.
I'm usually up at like 4 a.m. Eastern, and everybody's like, "Why are you up so damn early?" Can't help it.
I'm usually up at 4 a.m. my time as well, so I fully understand how that goes.
And see, I get up at 6, 7 o'clock my time, and you guys are all at lunch.
That's true.
We've been at it for a couple of hours by then.
Yep.
All right, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for talking stories on fire with us. I'm really grateful for your time and your energy and visiting and saying hello and the jokes. Thank you, Darth.
Definitely Darth.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you guys throughout the next 6 weeks.
For sure.
Love you.
Thanks, guys.